Okay, so when you get your each beading kit, you will have the beading wire, and it has already been finished at one end with a half of a magnetic clasp here, and then let me zoom in a little closer here, and a wire guardian here, and a crimp bead right here. So it will already be ready for students to start stringing their beads on the other end of the wire. And so the students can choose their own pattern, or if they don't want a pattern, they can kind of randomly just put their beads on. And so that's kind of the fun part for them, because they get to design whatever kind of pattern they would like with their beads. So at this end, when they first start stringing, you want to make sure, because there are two little parts, there are two little strings or pieces of the wire here. So we just want to make sure that they get both of those through the first few beads that they string. And leaving that little tail on there just kind of helps the end to be that much more secure. We don't want to cut it off too short, just to make sure that the bracelet doesn't come apart. So those first few beads, they'll need to make sure that they string it through both. Like I said, that little tail there. And then they can start and be creative and start stringing beads and make it look however they would like to make it look. If your kit contains these beads, a lot of times it looks a lot better with these beads if you have pearls on either side of those. But they don't have to do that. They can put crystals on either side. So I'm just making sure, like I said again, that the little tail goes through so that both of those are through the bead. And there we go. So we're already started on our bracelet, and you're going to keep stringing, have the kids keep stringing until they have made the correct length of their bracelet. Okay, so once you get each student gets all the beads strung on their wire the way they want them, you can go ahead and finish off the bracelet. So in order to finish off the bracelet, you're going to need to know how to use a wire guardian and a crimp bead, and how to put the other half of that magnetic clasp onto the bracelet. So that is what we're going to show you how to do next, in a very detailed, animated way, and then we'll kind of show you on the bracelet how to finish it off. These are crimp pliers, and they have 2 chambers. So this is a 2-step process. You'll be using these pliers in a 2-step process. Step 1 is the back chamber, and you will be putting the bead in the back chamber at first. So this animation is showing that you put the crimp bead in that back chamber and clamp down. That is step 1. Step 2, now that is being rotated 90 degrees and put in the front chamber. Clamp down, and that is step 2. So what we're going to do is look at that again a little more slowly. First, let's come back to the picture. So you see step 1, we already talked about. Step 2, or that front chamber, that's going to be where you rotate it next and clamp down again a second time. So let's take one more look at the animation. So when you open the pliers, step 1 is to place the crimp bead in that back chamber. Clamp down. It will create a small little divot in the center. rotate 90 degrees, and step 2 into the front chamber, clamp down again, and it just creates a nice little circular crimp bead. So that is the process for using the crimp pliers. So an alternative way to do the crimp beads, they're really tiny, and the crimping pliers with the different channels will give you a chance to get it more rounded off. But you can also choose to just use this front flat part that comes down at the tip and just smash the crimp bead flat. So I'm just gonna demonstrate that here, just so you can see that there's another way to do this if you do not want to try to use the two-step process. So you'll just bring the crimp bead into that very front part and just smash down like that, right there. And there you have your crimp. So of course you'll have 2 wires because you'll go through the wire guardian, and so you'll have 2 wires coming through there, but you can just smash it down flat like that. Okay, so now I'm going to show you how to use a wire guardian. So in this picture you can see the crimp bead is on the wire, and that goes first, and that's the process we just showed you. It's going to be a 2-step process, but you're not going to actually crimp that bead until we've got the wire guardian strung. So there are 2 channels. You're going to go through the first channel, channel 1, and then you're going to come back around and go through the second channel, which is channel 2. And so you're going to actually go through both channels and then back through that crimp bead to finish it off. Oh, and I should mention, and that you'll see this in the video, but you have to, once you go through channel 1, you're going to go through channel 2, and then you're going to put your magnetic clasp on before you cross back through that crimp bead, so that your clasp will stay nice and secure. And so again, we're going to, once we put the last bead on, we're going to put the crimp bead on. Just like that. And then we're going to add the wire guardian. So going through one end of the wire guardian with the wire, so that it's like that. And I'm going to pull it a little so it's easier. And I'm going to go through the other side of the wire guardian. And this is what it will look like once you've done that. So you can pull this wire guardian down a little. And then, you don't want to forget this part, you want to add your other side of your magnetic clasp on to this end. So put the wire through the clasp, and then the clasp can go inside the wire guardian like that. Okay, and then you need to put your string, so I'm going to back this up and give myself just a little bit of space there so that I can put the wire back through the crimp bead one more time. Oops. There we go. And I'm also going to go through a couple of the other beads. Like I said, that just kind of makes sure that it's secure. I went through quite a few. There it is. So I'm just pulling on this end, and as you can see, it's coming out after this bead, and I've pulled it tight because that wire guardian is there, and I want to get my crimp bead up close to the wire guardian, right about there. Okay. All right. So something that might make this a little easier is if you have a pair of scissors or something you can stick that magnet to, the other end of the clasp to. It might make it a little bit easier to close the crimp bead if you've got that kind of fastened to a pair of scissors there. It might make it a little easier to crimp. I don't know, it's your personal preference. And so now we're gonna come in with the first chamber, and I'm sorry, the back chamber is gonna be our first crimp down on that crimp bead so that we create that divot. And then we'll rotate it 90 and get it in that front chamber and squeeze down again. And there you have, the crimp bead is crimped and it's secure. So then, taking your scissors, you'll want to cut off this tail. Back it out a little bit. So you want to cut off the tail of the excess wire as close to that bead as you can. And there we go. And there you have it. Your bracelet is finished, the double wrap bracelet. So I'm going to zoom out and just kind of show you. The thing I love about these magnetic clasps is that when you go to put the bracelet on, it just snaps together. I mean, these bracelets are just so easy to get on because that clasp, see if I can turn it around this way. The clasp, as you get it close, it's just going to snap. If you can see that, it's pulling. It's a pretty strong magnet, and it's just going to snap like that. And it's still fairly easy to take off, but not so much that it'll fall off when you're wearing it. So there is the double wrap bracelet. See, I can shake it and it's not going to come off. Easy on, easy off. These are beautiful bracelets and fairly easy to make.
This is Wendy with WK Beads. Thanks for watching.